And that's when I had to take the snake back to the pet store.
You know, that story sounds a little bit familiar for some reason, Jimmy, but it's still a great, great story. Well, that's been Footy Prime, the podcast for another day. Hope you enjoyed that, everyone. What's left? Okay, guys and girls, shall we? Yeah?
See you on set?
Let's do this.
What? How come I wasn't in the loop on this? Where's everyone going?
This is Footy Prime on OneSoccer. A deep V-neck aficionado, Jimmy Brennan. Former world heavyweight boxing champion, Amy Dubz Walsh. Two-time Miss Orange County finalist, Craig Forrest. Austrian pop sensation, Dan Wong. And Westminster Kennel Club Best in Show 1987, James Sharman. This is Footy Prime on OneSoccer. Let's get this party started.
We made it. We made it.
Yes.
We promised the OGs of Footy Prime that we would one day be on television. And here we are. We finally made it. Amy, you're massive.
I'm so pleased about that.
They say the camera adds, what is it, 10 pounds?
That's a big breakfast, Sharms.
Oh, you know what?
Don't say
I can't even say it. I want to say it.
I feel like I'm ready to
F
walk
right
out
off.
for,
How about that? That's close enough.
Getting beat 9-0 by Man United. That's what I feel like right now.
Yeah, same thing. Right?
Awesome.
Well, listen, I think the secret of making this successful is to try and maintain the pod shtick, right? And that won't be easy. So please, you can call us out at times, all right? Please call us out. Let us know through socials if we're too TV and not enough pod.
What's too TV?
Too TV is staring at cameras. Listen, we probably won't, well, Amy won't swear as much, perhaps as usual.
Jimmy couldn't look at the camera anyway. He's got, I don't know how many eyes you got there, but there's a few going on.
There's a lot of miles in this, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of miles in my
disgusting.
You guys have been hammering me left, right, and center. I'm glad you're getting a bit of comedy out of it.
Well, listen, we haven't finished the comedy. We actually have a little accessory here for you, pal, because your eye is disgusting.
You'll wear it by the end. You'll wear it by the end.
I'm concerned it might burst at some point.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. For the last 4 days, I've been putting so much effort into this to get this swelling down because I knew you guys were going to absolutely hammer me.
You got to keep your finger out of your bum.
What's that? But look, you know what I've been doing, right? I've been doing those compressors. You know what they say about the wives' tale, the old wives' tale, what to put on it? What are you supposed to put on it?
Well, not obviously what you put on it to start.
I don't believe in that. So I usually go to a doctor and before.
I went to the doctor.
Did you Google wives' tales?
Well, they say the tea bag. But it's hard to get your legs under your head. You can't ask a friend to help you out. So I'm going to show you what I do, and I travel with it now.
They said a tea bag?
Oh, my God.
An egg.
An egg?
An egg. And it's a hard-boiled egg, because the doctor told me to do this.
Not like a raw egg.
Put a hard-boiled egg on your eye, because the heat lasts longer, lasts 10 to 15 minutes. Tea bag's like a minute. But you can travel with it.
Does it come with a hen?
So wherever I go, I just heat up a little bit of water, and I help myself out.
It's not working, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's working well.
It's a lot better than what it was.
I've never been more pleased to be remote.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so for the new audience out there, there's people out there who are discovering us for the first time and they haven't tuned out already. What are we? What is Footy Prime?
Well, we always say we're the absurd but insightful podcast. So this is an experiment, right? Like, we're taking a successful podcast, Canada's #1 independently produced podcast, and we're now putting it to television with the help of OneSoccer. Right. So we're excited, but this is 4 years in the making. And we also have to give a shout out to our friend who introduced us, JC. I know that's going to be a slow move, Kyle, but it is a move. So there's JC. Thank you, JC.
Thank you for having me.
What a legend.
There's googly eyes on this camera, which is really going to help. So I don't feel quite alone up here. So I appreciate that, guys.
You're looking lovely, JC. You're looking wonderful. So listen, this show might go off the rails at times. We'll try and maintain some football talk. We'll try. It might not always be successful. Okay. We should mention the Supporters Club, by the way, on Twitter. There are OG fans, and they have a bingo square. You can find this on social media each week. Already I put that to them. and try and find our cliches, which we say on regular basis, and just mark them off and see how many we check. All right, so that's every week.
It's a good
bingo square.
It's a good drinking game.
Twitter. A good drinking game, yeah. And I recommend drinking actually during this whole show because
we're funnier if you're drinking.
But we have legends here. We have legends, right?
Yes.
Wonger aside, we have Craig Forrest, Jimmy Brennan, Amy Walsh, right? So I think each week we'll try and get you to understand who these people are a little bit closer, perhaps. Who are the real Jimmy Brennan, Amy Walsh, Craig Forrest? So today, a little trivia for the pod for Craig Forrest. Who is Craig Forrest, all right? I've got 4 or 5 questions here. Not too difficult, I don't think, but I want you guys to decide if you know Craig or if you don't know Craig Forrest, okay? The legend that he is. All right, first question, right? Joining Ipswich in 1984.
When?
84. Thank you for correcting me there, Craig.
I'm 1,000 years old.
Craig enjoyed 2 loan spells. Once at Chelsea and the other at where?
Oh, Colchester.
Oh, boom! Jimmy Brennan already.
I know him.
Yeah? Been a few years, huh?
Religiously.
Yeah.
Amy clearly doesn't. Bit disappointing there.
Where were you on that one, Dubz?
Nowhere. But Jimmy's had his stye on Craig for a long time.
Dubz doesn't even know where Colchester is.
She's like,
Does anyone know where
Colchester?
Colchester
She was waiting, guys. She was waiting for that sty line since like 3 days ago when she saw his eye.
Yeah, no kidding. She's on Google right now looking for Colchester.
Here's an easier one for you. What does Craig have in common with Eric Cantona, Peter Schmeichel, Ronnie Rosenthal, and Andre Kanchelskis?
Ooh.
All legends in their own right.
They're all bellends.
I had to think of that myself, but now I do know.
Yeah? Are they all bellends? You've played against a lot of these guys.
No, they're actually nice guys.
Okay. Dubz?
A lot of goalkeepers.
Giant torsos?
Nope. I think Kanchelskis had a regular-sized torso. So Eric Cantona.
You're
Peter
close.
Schmeichel,
You're
Ronnie
close,
Rosenthal,
Amy. You're close.
Wonger.
Popped collar. Popped collar?
Internationals who started in the Premier League.
Well
First
done.
year.
Well done, Wonger. Yeah. 13 damn foreigners started the Premier League, and he was one of those damn foreigners.
Yeah, I didn't start as something.
Yeah, I think so.
What'd you get? Did you get a medal? What did they give you?
No, I didn't even know this until like 5 years later. It was the Sun newspaper actually called and said, "Oh, we're doing an interview with the 13 originals or whatever." 13, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
You're a
that's pretty cool.
foundation member
The
of
opening
Premier
Saturday,
League.
yeah.
Wow. All right, here's one for you. What is Craig's middle name?
Jeffrey.
Nope.
I know this.
Isn't it like Lorne or something?
Yes. Well done, Dubz.
Hey.
1-1-1 so far. Yeah. Craig Lorne Forrest.
What a beauty.
It's a lovely one, yeah.
Where did that come from?
Destined for success.
No
with that
wonder you
name.
kept that quiet.
That's my dad's name.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
He's a lovely fella, by the way.
Apologies,
Great guy. I
Mr.
hope he's
Forrest. You can't hear anyway, right? So, hey.
Can't hear nothing.
Was your middle name almost Colchester? Or was it definitely going to be Lorne?
No, Chelsea.
Chelsea.
But his daughter's name's Colchester for some reason. Don't know why. Anyway, moving on. No, it isn't Colchester.
No.
In 2000, at the Gold Cup, Craig was named tournament MVP and best goalkeeper of the tournament. Of course, we all remember that, right?
Yeah, because he got peppered.
Yeah, exactly. How many goals did Craig concede in the 2000 Gold Cup? You were in the team, so you should know this one, Jimmy. 5 matches.
Jimmy's counting. So
Do you remember?
Hamster wheel.
I think so. I think so.
Hazard a guess, Jimmy.
I'm going to say 6.
Come on, man.
60. You got
I'm going to
goalkeeper
say
of the
under.
tournament.
You got
didn't
goalkeeper of the
lose.
tournament because you had to make a lot of saves. Obviously, you're going to let
We
a
didn't
couple in.
lose the tournament.
No, well, we won it. But
Dubz?
4 goals.
No.
13 goals.
Was it 3?
It was 3. Yeah.
Wow.
is that it? Just 3?
You're really good.
Thanks.
No problem.
When I heard that, I was
You
kind
know
of
what?
surprised, right?
Even
I
a
thought,
clock is right twice a day.
when someone wins, like, tournament MVP, right, and he's a goalkeeper, I expect more clean sheets, to be honest with you. Right? 3 isn't that great. In 5
What are you
games.
talking about?
It's decent.
Well, 3
But
and
it's
5.
not like...
It was Canada.
But mind you, he saved some
He
penalties.
had Jimmy in front of him.
Yeah, he did save a couple of penalties.
I was higher up the pitch. I was
okay.
playing left wing.
Yeah. How many of those goals were Jimmy's fault?
Oh,
Same question.
Only a couple. Only a couple.
That's a lie.
I know. It was 23 years ago, after all.
You didn't give me the finger, at least. Remember, Mark gave me the finger in one of the games against Trinidad.
That's right.
Mark Watson.
Mark Watson. That was
He
one
was
of the
like
funniest
dwelling
things
in the
ever.
corner. You know, Amy, when you got something, and you're like, clear it up the line, and then he's dwelling on the ball, and he ends up giving away a sloppy corner. And I was like, hey, Mark, like what the? And he just gave me the finger. I was like, you gave me the finger?
I don't think you need to actually show us the finger
Yeah.
when you say that. I think we get the idea. I'm not sure how OneSoccer would appreciate that.
I remember
A
him
little
doing that.
furry, a little fuzzy. Put up a middle finger.
So we're having a chat on the corner. He just gave me the finger.
But it was the way that he did it. When he just walked up and he just
Yeah.
didn't give it to you. I was laughing, man. That was amazing. He's one of the funniest men you'll ever meet in your
Yeah,
life.
he's brilliant.
Oh,
He'd be a good interview actually at some point, maybe on the show.
GM of Minnesota.
Oh,
Doing a
that's
great
right,
job.
yeah. We should mention to the audience, by the way, that we make a lot of suggestions and promises about what we should do on this show, and we never follow through. We always forget about it by the end of the show, so just so you know, that does continue. One more for you, okay? In Craig's Wikipedia page, there's one extremely important fact that is missing. Do you know what it is? Probably not. When was the last time you were on Craig's Wiki page, Dubz?
I don't know if I ever have visited Craig's Wiki page.
No? Then you probably wouldn't know the answer to this one. Jimmy,
What's
can you put
missing?
that patch on? It's horrible.
I'll beat it.
Yeah, seriously, put that. You have a patch, put it on.
Yeah,
No, I'm not-
can't
I'm not
use a
putting a patch
It's
on.
right here. Come on.
Start a
you
chat.
should,
Put
for us.
on the
What are you
patch.
doing for
Put
you?
on the patch. Come on.
No, it's my good eye. This one's
it's
not
your
as good.
eye. It's your good eye.
Yeah.
We got some issues there.
I've got massive issues.
Wow. So you.
I've been on his wiki page lately, though.
The wiki page?
You have? Okay. So what's
Wiki
missing?
I think it goes straight into his broadcast career.
Yeah.
But I don't think it says that he's got one ball.
Oh. I don't know
They-
about that.
They dropped the ball.
There's no.
Ball on that one.
there's no mention of the cancer, is there?
I don't think there's a mention of the cancer. No, I didn't see one mention of the cancer.
But that's not what I took. From
okay, well,
what was
that's-
missing was there's no mention of Footy Prime, which is far more important.
That's true. There isn't.
Yeah. So there's got to be someone watching right now that can change Wikipedia. We can't. So please, if you can change it, mention that Craig's now original member of Footy Prime
Yes.
and is a survivor of testicular cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Wonger, for thinking of my nut.
Well, I was thinking you're not. It's foremost on my mind.
The one that's missing or the one I've got?
Both. The one that's missing, I want to track that down. We need to find that somewhere
Yeah,
in
we've got to
England.
find a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should have offered it.
It should be pickled somewhere.
Yeah,
They should have offered it to you.
it might be.
Right?
Would you like to take this home, sir?
Yeah. They should have offered one of those, stick a little one in there, like just to
No, you can do that, right? Silicone, apparently. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing,
Really?
as I understand. And bigger ones than... Anyway, all right. So now you know Craig. I think we all know Craig, right? We'll try Dubz next week and then Jimmy the next week.
Sounds great.
Maybe Wonger at some point. Maybe
Some
JC
point.
at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a fascinating individual, is Craig Forrest.
Yeah. I know everything about Amy, a little bit about Jimmy.
Yeah.
That sounded really creepy, Forrest.
It did. He's often Googling Amy Walsh, isn't he?
I've read your wiki
regular
page,
basis.
don't you?
Amy's
worry
always
about
updating her own wiki page, though.
Yeah, I bet she does.
I made a funny joke on Footy Prime.
Yeah.
I bet she does.
How many
Hilarious.
times did she put Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer?
Just did TSN.
No,
listen,
I need to go to Jimmy's and adjust it to say horrific eye injury. Hope he recovers soon.
Looks like he's been hit by a bus.
Well known for putting his eye in places it doesn't belong. It is the international break, all right, which quite honestly hasn't been great so far. It's been, quite frankly, boring. Maybe it's because Canada's not playing. Hasn't been great. But it got me thinking, right? Obviously, Euro qualifying, CONMEBOL qualifying for the World Cup, by the way, AFCON. There's a lot of football out there right now. But as former professionals, right, and legends and Hall of Fame members, if you close your eyes and think back on your career, let's start. Why are you laughing already?
Close my eye.
Yeah, close your eye. See? Self-deprecation. Nice. Dubz,
three
let's
of
start
them.
with you. Close your eyes,
All
right,
right.
and think back on your career. What shirt were you wearing?
I think it has to be a Canada shirt, right? So I didn't have the fortune of having a great or storied club career. So when I think about my career and anything that's associated with professional, I think about Canada, and I think about the number 13. You can see it behind me. And actually, when I was in Nebraska, that would be the second one. So I was number 17. And when I was there, my senior year, I don't know how it came up in conversation, but a girl named Lindsay Edelman, who wore number 13, I found at the end of our careers that she wanted 17 and I would have wanted 13. So I could have also worn 13 for my college career, but it wasn't to be. But two numbers that I love, and I love number 13 for Canada. So that's what I picture myself.
What was the significance of 13 when you chose it?
My birthday.
Oh, September 13th.
It was always
1913. 1913.
Yeah, 1913. That's right. I'm defying gravity.
Do you think, Amy, down the road, do you think there'll be players, women players that will pick a club team because that whole dynamics and the whole nuance of club team and has come a long way just in the last 4 years? You're seeing a lot of top clubs and top players playing for clubs on a more regular basis than we ever have before.
Yeah, the women's club game is so exciting and it's come along leaps and bounds in the professionalization. But I think now you have to start adapting what you're doing, and you're seeing Rebecca Blomqvist who played for Sweden, and she suffered an ACL injury in play on the weekend, I think in Champions League qualifying. So we have to start to get up to date on how we can better support or best support these players. But I think more and more you're going to see younger girls signing straight into club environments and going pro and having that dream from a really early age. And that's super exciting for the women's game.
Hey, Dubz, do you remember who stole the 13 from you for Canada?
Yeah, I think that was Sophie Schmidt, but she didn't steal it.
That's not what we heard.
And actually
stole it from you.
No, and Diana Matheson, when I was out of the program for a while, she very generously gave me the 13 back. So I was lucky enough to play with some great teammates too.
Felt sorry for you, obviously. Okay, Jimmy, when you close your eye, that's funny. That's good.
I don't know why we're friends.
No, me neither. What shirt are you wearing? Obviously, Canada. You play TFC. You play for Notts Forest, Southampton, Norwich. What's the team? Bristol, of course. City.
Bristol, yeah.
Say that, not Rovers.
I would say people. Well, there's two, right? The national team jersey, I wore number 11. I remember my debut, and that was when against Northern Ireland. I remember going to the airport, and I get the call up, right? So I'm all excited, going, oh, I can't believe this. I'm getting called up to the national team. It says, make sure you dress smart, right? I get to the airport. These guys are all there, Forrest, Pescasolido, Watson. I've got a 3-piece suit on, like I'm going to the races. These guys are all in tracksuit, pair of jeans, T-shirts. I look like a total idiot at the airport.
Well, you had tight trousers on, though.
They were very tight. I could sit in those ones, though. Not like that time when I was managing a TFC game where I couldn't sit
Was
down.
that Mark Bircham's first game, too?
That was Birchie's first game as well.
Oh, that's the anthem, right?
Yeah.
The anthem situation.
Singing the national anthem. Never been to Canada in his life. Singing the Canadian national anthem. Representing the country. And then he scored the game winner and was like, I'm proud to be Canadian. And he was kissing the badge and everything. Never stepped foot in Canada. That was his debut. So awesome. The Canadian jersey is one. And then I think also, look, everybody knows my connection with Nottingham Forest, how much I love that club. But I'd have to say Bristol City as well, because that was the first club that I actually signed for. And I got my first professional contract.
Really? Yeah. That was your screensaver in your phone for a while. Is it still? It's still
What?
Forest?
Yeah, I still got it.
Still there, is it? Yeah. Not as kids? No.
No, I have my kids on there. I mix it up once in a while. I have plenty of pictures.
But there's something about going...
Look at that.
Hey, that's a little surprise guest for us, isn't it? It's Tommy Wheeldon Jr., coach of the month in the Canadian Premier League.
Hey, you could at least made your bed.
Actually, it's not bad for me.
Just roll out.
That's half decent standard, Jim, to be honest.
I love the way there's no more Dubz. She's just disappeared. And just here comes Tommy Wheeldon Jr. pops up. Dubz, we'll get you back shortly, but we've got one screen here. Welcome to the show, Tommy. The debut show. You're our first guest.
Tell you what, if you ain't first, you're last, right?
That's it.
Listen, been a good season so far for you boys, obviously in first place. We'll get to the season in a little bit here. But we've been talking about a variety of things, international football, domestic football, when these guys close their eyes, what shirt are they wearing? You know, you play for a number of teams in your career. Like, when you close your eyes, like, what shirt are you wearing?
Everton shirt, and I never played for them.
Oh, they're doing well at the moment.
Magnificent, aren't they? Yeah, but listen, you can't call me a fake fan. There's always like that's just a family tradition. Literally, it was my brother's birthday the other day, and I bought him the 88-89 Everton jersey. He was buzzing with it because that was when last time we won the league, and it was also the year he was born. But it's one of those things. It's family heritage, so it's that jersey. Look, the other side, I would say I spent a couple of years at Swindon Town as an apprentice, and that was two of my best years of my life. That I was fortunate enough with Glenn Hoddle had just passed the reins through, and Steve McMahon was coming through, and the way they played football. Actually, my old man mentioned it the other day with our Dan Klomp and Charlie Trafford rotations. Used to see Glenn Hoddle and Ross McLaren, which I think both you, Jimmy, and Craig, you'd remember.
Yeah, actually, I remember playing against Glenn Hoddle when he was playing for Swindon, and I was a pretty young lad, I guess, in early 20s anyway. And I think he was playing center back at that time. And it was unbelievable, his range and his passing, and it was just something that you could just tell he was just on a different level. It was incredible, but still had something left. I'm not sure how he was as a manager over there, but did you come across him?
I didn't, because it was the season after they got relegated from the Premier League, but I got to meet him as I was coming through the schoolboy system there. And then as I became apprentice, Steve McMahon was in charge. But there was a lot of that legacy. Steve McMahon played with a back three, and he went from midfield into that central role, which is really good because you use your best ball player there as the carrier. And the Germans have been doing it for years, the Dutch have been doing it for years. So we've kind of found a nuance in the way we play that's actually mirrored back to experiences that I would have had as a young man.
Tommy, who was the striker back then? Was it Jan Flitcroft?
Yeah, Jan Fjortoft. Yeah. Jan
He was dynamite. He could score a goal, couldn't he? Yeah,
the airplane.
Yeah,
he was good.
Paolo Di Canio ended up coaching Swindon years later.
So that worked out well.
That didn't work out quite as well.
I've got to mention, Steve McMahon was a legend of which team, of course, Tommy?
I got a funny story about that, because I used to be as an apprentice. I used to have to clean the coach's room, which also doubled down as the referee's room. And I remember on Fridays we used to get a lunch, like a hot lunch as an apprentice. So that was always the favourite thing. And sure enough, if you were last going up there, you'd get the scraps. So you had to be one of first. And silly me had left the bath running just a hot tap. And Steve McMahon was hard-nosed, and it was this bath that I had to run. And all the pros are there. So he's called me back from the lunch. I'm digging into me chicken and pasta, enjoying it. Totally forgot as a 16, 17-year-old that I'd left the bathroom. It overflowed all over the referee's room. Not only that, it was piping hot. And he said, "Hey, Tommy," in his Scouse accent, he said, "Right, get yourself in that." What, this one, Gaff? He said, "Yeah, you get yourself in that." He said, "You think I'm going to get myself in that?" So there I am, and all the pros are now coming around the doorway, looking around, and you're this 16, 17-year-old. So now take your socks off. Take my socks off, dipping me. My foot's gone bright red now. and I'm trying to show I'm brave, and he's like, "Yeah, now dip yourself in there." It's piping hot, Gaff. I can't. He said, "Never do that again, lad." Out you go.
When I look back as a kid, Steve McMahon and Ronnie Whelan were my two heroes for Liverpool. It wasn't John Barnes or Ian Rush, and Bruce Grobbelaar, of course, was there. Don't worry, Craig, he was there as well. But yeah, great player. You mentioned being a young player in that era, right? And now you're coaching young players, obviously at Cavalry. It's a big part of what the CPL is all about, of course. How are the kids nowadays different to when you were that age, breaking through into elite football?
Do you know what, James? The most notable thing is you've got to give this generation the why, because I think they've grown up now with an area of social media, of YouTube, of everything's accessible, and they can actually challenge your perspective. Then, like I said, the manager calls you down, get in that bath, you're getting in a piping hot bath. Now we're like, well, why would I do that? It's, I was wrong. I respect that, but I'm not getting, and it's saying, right, we're going to play 4-4-2. Okay, good. I'm playing right wing. That's my job. You're told what to do. Now you've got a bit more open-mindedness, and that's the way of the world, that you actually almost have to convince the players that this is the way we're doing it, and get their buy-in. That's probably the most notable difference, to be honest.
How do you deal with the social media thing as a coach? Do you talk to the players? Is it something you discuss? Is it something that you recommend or not recommend for players to look at? Because, I mean, obviously, as you go up the levels, too, that the bigger you are as a player, the more flack and negativity you're getting, and that's a lot to handle.
Yeah, two simple bits of advice, Craig. I'd say, don't listen to everything out there. People's opinions of you is no business of yours, right? Because you're never going to hear it like everything you want to hear. So don't take note of the compliments. Don't take too much note of the negativity because it's none of your business. The second one is don't be a dickhead. Yeah. Right? It's like very similar to what the All Blacks talk about. It's very easy, and you've all played in the game. You can get a lot of dickheads in your team. Just don't be one, and then you put it onto your leadership group to say, just manage him. Like he shouldn't be tweeting about this politic or that thing. Just if you have your opinion, absolutely share it in the confines of the locker room in person, but don't have something that could, potentially ruin you because we're in that cancel culture.
Yeah, something we should have thought about here.
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Tommy,
don't be a dickhead.
Yeah. you just won Coach of the Year. Sorry, Coach of the Month.
Oh, thank you. Brilliant.
Yeah,
news.
Announcing. I was
a bit early.
What would you do? How did you get there? What would you tell the other coaches? Because this is a huge honor. What would you tell them how to become Coach of the Month this month?
He's not going to tell them anything. He's keeping that a secret.
What have you done differently the last month? Because honestly, Cavalry has been playing great. Yeah. What's changed?
Wonger, probably the same advice I said about social media. Don't listen to the opinions of others, because I think in the first 5 games of the season, there was a lot of hashtags had me going out, and I thought, well, you know what? You're in this business because of that. People are right to their opinions. For me, I'm fortunate. I've got terrific staff, really, and I hire people that are more skilled than me in other ones. I've got Leon Apgood that runs a lot of our attacking organisations that plays. Nick Ledgerwood was a terrific competitor on the pitch, and he does a lot of our defensive stuff. A cracking video analyst and Daniel Hutchins. We just hired a new goalie coach. We've got a great sports science team, and I've got a terrific ownership group. And I think, Jim, you've done your pro license, and a lot of that is how you're able to manage up. And I've got an ownership group that wants excellence. The family has built that in multiple ways. You're seeing it at Spruce Meadows with the Masters right now. I've got a terrific president in Ian Allison that will challenge opinion, wants to know the strategy, but from 30,000 foot level, and says, listen, this is your expertise. What do you need from us? And then step back, and then you filter that down to the players. I try to use the same approach with them. And when you've got likes of Marco Carducci and Sergio Camargo that have been day oneers, they've helped the culture of the locker room. And I tell you, the more I'm in this, the more culture will beat strategy 9 times out of 10 for me. And I think that's probably what we've really navigated towards this year. Is we've really worked hard. We've made some interesting trades and sales, and a lot of it is down to the culture of that locker room. And now you're seeing the lads literally fight to the last minute. It's not a recipe. There's no secret sauce. It's just a lot of million things that go into one.
So I was going to mention that we must apologise, because actually 5 games in, Jimmy put his name forward for the job on Footy Prime.
I interviewed him.
He turned you down.
We couldn't afford him. I can give you all the zeros you want. They just have to start with that.
Got to ask you, did you snag the fee of the beard from the game on Saturday, the 0-0?
Do you know what? It's funny, because I even joked with Bobby. I said, congrats on your 150. It's a shame 24 of them have been against us.
It's so much football, right?
Seen each other so many times. But listen, he's a terrific coach. And I think, obviously, had John Erdman not got the TFC job, I think he should be in a conversation. I think, he's probably right to be rumoured around the national team, boss. What do you want from this country? You want somebody that's won. You want somebody that knows how to develop the game. And for me, I'll always have a healthy rivalry with all the coaches in this league. And, Jimmy, I had one with you in it. But you respect the work, because I see what goes on behind the scenes. This is not an easy league. It's still in the early infancy, and there's a lot that you need to do behind the scenes. And Bobby's been there since day one, and respect to him for that.
Tommy, after five seasons now, how much have you seen the standard improve throughout this league from year one to where we are today?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's really improved, because yourself, when we were down in the Dominican, you didn't know what you were looking at. You had an idea about how you wanted to play. We had to adapt a little bit. We got a bit of success early. We were very much built on a counter-pressing team and tough to beat down. We preyed on a lot of people's mistakes. Now what you're seeing is everybody's improving their recruitment, the international recruitment, the domestic recruitment, the domestic developing. 5 years on has literally been a whirlwind. And it's like any world, watching the Women's World Cup now, you think they're at the end of their Olympic cycle, and you're seeing the Men's World Cup coming up. Every 4 years, things do change. And we had a real cold, hard reflection on ourselves after 4 years when we lost in the playoffs. And we felt we weren't good enough. We felt we actually overachieved, and we said, right, we need to change a few things. And we actually, if we're going to go on and be successful, we need to be dynamic in this way. We need to be able to play against a low block. We need to be able to beat a press. We need to be able to play direct. We need to be able to press high, mid block, and change in the game, split between two formations mid game. And we've done a lot of work in that. And I think now you're seeing, and you see it when you do the games, Jim, is teams will play in maybe a 3-2-5 in there, or defend a 4-4-2. They'll flip between two formations, and every team seems to be doing that. And I think that's what you're seeing. And now the 5 sub rule, I think that's probably the biggest evolution, not just in our league, but in the game itself, that you can actually now say, right, at the 60th minute, you got this, this, and this to bring on, and actually we're going to change the game. And I think the game is moving very, very fast, but I love watching it. Like, I do enjoy watching the other games because really exciting league to watch. And I think the league championship now coming into it has made our league even better.
I was looking for a one-word answer.
Oh, sorry, man. Yes.
But great points. That allows players like Musi and Akio to be on the bench, right? Which perhaps in year one they wouldn't have been, right? And it obviously worked out. Listen, great campaign so far, Tommy. Thanks so much for this. Really enjoyed it, and good luck on Tuesday against Halifax live on OneSoccer.
All right, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Tommy.
Mentioning Bobby there, I know for a fact that he came right down to the wire for TFC for that job, right? So MLS is now looking at CPL, which is really important, I think. I mean, we talk about the players developing, but the minute you get that jump from a CPL coach to a higher league, that's a big moment, I think, for that league. Look us back. Dubz, you're back.
Dubz is back.
We missed you.
I nodded off a little bit there. Sorry.
Yeah, did you? What, because Jimmy's questions?
Yes, mostly.
Actually, they're pretty good.
I have to say, though, look, Tommy and Bobby Smirniotis, and if Jimmy put that patch on, they could all be in Lord of the Rings. All 3 of them. That'd be the perfect Lord of the Rings sequel.
Oh, my God, look at that thing.
No, you really need to put it on, can you?
Put the patch on.
If you had that patch with Smirniotis and...
Here we go.
Tommy,
look over there. Jimmy, try and look over there. This one. Over here.
You know what it looks like? It looks like those things, like as women, you get the bras and you have those removable cups. That's what it looks like.
I don't know those.
No, we don't know, Dubz.
No, we have no
I do, actually. It's
There are lots
problematic
of
for
women
me.
watching.
Wonger wears them.
It's like the nipple patches,
That's
right?
right,
To prevent
that's
the
right.
nipples from coming through.
Yeah, when you run marathons.
Yeah,
you have to put them on,
because the chafing.
Band-Aids. Yeah.
Do you think guys get chafed?
I'd like to
playing
know,
football?
though.
Yeah, the badge sometimes. Remember those old badges you used to rub on your nipple?
Really?
Depending on the material.
You'd have to tape it.
Amy?
Any chafing?
I would. No chafing. But I was going to say, like, what is the point of those cups? Like, everyone knows that we have nipples. Why are you trying to pretend like you don't have nipples?
I don't know. I'm a big fan of them myself. I don't know why you do that. It makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
So, Jimmy, the chafing, were you using some lube, some Vaseline? What were you using?
Well, funny enough, I did have some extra Vaseline to rub on the nipples.
Oh, yeah, funny
it was
enough.
the old crests. Remember the old ones where they used to stitch them?
Yeah, on the
And
inside.
on the inside, and it would rub against you. It hurts so bad. Just the one, just the left side. The right one wasn't bad.
They wear sports bras, even the guys now. With
Yeah,
all
that's the tracking.
with the
That's
chip
right.
on it for
the catapult systems. There's variety.
distance
types.
run.
Yeah.
Do you play with those, or was that just after your time?
No, I played with them.
You did, yeah?
Well, we used to wear the straps across, the ones that come underneath.
Right, yeah,
Underneath
yeah.
your rib cage.
Yeah.
there.
Was it a problem? Like, did it
I used to hate them.
affect you? Yeah.
I used to hate them.
Because you're concerned about them tracking your mileage?
Yeah.
Was that the issue?
That was the issue. Because then you get pulled in by the gaffer. He'd be like, you didn't run so much, did you? I was, oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And then I'd just make up some excuse. And then found myself on the bench the next game.
You goalkeepers wear them. Probably, right?
What?
The catapult systems to gauge how much. I know they're not running, but
See how many times you did the 18-yard box?
yeah, exactly.
I presume. I don't
Probably.
know. I don't know what kind of benefit there would be getting any kind of data that would help.
Dubz, any idea?
No, but I mean, it's explosive movements. It's different movements. So maybe they're tracking even, when they're leaping, their footwork, just the ground covered within the box and how quickly you're moving. I'm sure there's all kinds of potential for data that you're collecting, even with goalkeepers.
I think they're just making it up if they do that for the goalkeepers.
I would find you'd find more data in training.
Yeah.
Anaerobic training, things like that, than you would do an actual game itself. But it all depends on what they can get from it. Can they get what you're jumping and how fast you are and how many steps? Can they take all that data?
They would just do your distance covered, max heart rate.
Probably do more than you.
Yeah, probably.
I used to do a lot of running in the box, though.
Yeah, cold days, right?
Yeah.
There were some stats in the World Cup that certain goalkeepers did more mileage than certain players.
More touches.
Messi walked around half the World Cup and then scored a whole bunch of goals in the meantime, right?
Yeah, he doesn't work stupid, that guy.
No, exactly, right? There's working smart and working stupid. Something we know all about, Wonger, right?
Working stupid.
Working stupid, absolutely.
Only took 4 years to get here.
4 times a week. Back to the CPL.
Yes.
We should get to what the weekend that was. I mean, listen, it was fantastic. It was outstanding. James Cameron's first goal in his first match in the CPL, an injury time winner. A winner, no less, for Vancouver against Atleti. But we have the goals of the month coming up here. Top 3 now. The way CPL does it, I love it. They get the fans to vote. And the fans, as we know, usually get things wrong. Did they get it wrong this time? So let's have a look at these goals. 3, 2, and 1. So number 3 was best name in the league, by the way, Benny Badibanga. And that was a banger by Badibanga.
That was a
Wow. Ridiculous.
Keeper, Craig, at fault?
No, I don't think so. I mean, from the keeper's point of view, you're in a little bit of a difficult position because of the angle. He's got some distance there, but I think there's some movement on the ball too. So as it comes over top of the wall with that bit of movement, I think it flat foots him, Jimmy.
Well, the way he hits it with a knuckleball.
Exactly. So that ball comes over top of the wall. He'd be looking at it as it comes over top of the wall, and it would have been swerving really, drastically. So I wouldn't blame him for that, absolutely not. It was just a top quality free kick.
Eric Cobbs has got, I love a good old set piece, Jimmy.
Yeah.
This is the old cliche, from the training ground.
Right, but it's from the training ground. Now, Cobbs is going to get credit for this. And I'm not being funny, but Sharms, you could finish that.
No, I don't know about that.
No.
Yeah, but it's about the final finish, right? It's about the actual.
But
goal
it's only his name, Kobza. So what about the rest of the team? They're not going to get an award for it.
Because you can't put every name there, can you?
Well, then it's not an individual goal. The first goal that we saw was spectacular.
It's not individual goal of the.
Our first domestic on air.
Well,
how about this one? Look at this one, 30 yards out.
Look at it. Polisi, watch this. Watch that goal. That's a banger.
Yeah, it's a great goal. It's a banger, but not all great goals are bangers, right, Dubz?
Well,
I agree. Like that second one for me is almost the goal of the. Is it goal of the week we're doing or goal of the month?
Goal of the month.
So then why didn't
Goal
we do
of the
two?
month, yeah. I give the team goal as number 1 because I think it's,
so let me get this
executing.
straight. Bloody footballers. So you want individual goal of the month and team goal of the month and what? And tapping of the month?
No.
So then why don't you give credit to the guy that passed the ball to Polisi here? Then
We're not
absolute
giving him credit. But
banger
the
of a
point
shot.
is, you can't put every name there for goal. It's goal of the month. Who scored the goal? Who scored it?
Polisi.
Right.
Kobza.
Kobza, right.
So he
got
was a
goal of
tap-in.
the month.
Not having that.
I'm not having you.
I disagree with
saying.
Jimmy fully.
I know exactly
I
what you're
disagree.
saying. Hey, there was a time they didn't even give assists at all.
Yeah, now we got assists.
At least you get an assist.
I don't know. Personally, I think Ollie Bassett's goal was goal of the month anyway, but that's my personal.
The last one?
No, he wasn't the top 3. He was just outside top 3. He was one of the mentions. It was a fantastic goal, a very cheeky one.
Yeah.
But it didn't count.
The last one's a great goal as well, except
strike.
you got to close him down. Even if he's going to hit it from 30 yards, you have to put a little bit more pressure on the ball.
They're all great goals, okay?
They are good.
That's why they're goals of the month. Okay.
The fans got it right this time.
Yeah.
I have to be
I
honest.
would put Ollie in there personally.
Really?
Yeah, maybe at number 3.
I've got a cough. Excuse me.
Ole was a good one. But I'll be on it. What are you doing?
Coughing into my shirt.
Coughing into your plaid shirt, which just happens to be draped
Footy
over the
Prime
chair.
Supporters Club wanted the plaid shirt. So did Amy. I wear it way too often. During the pandemic, my My menu of clothes got reduced. Yeah, it got reduced to a lot of plaid. So I brought it on in support and symbolism of our Footy Prime Supporters Club and Amy. So,
and plus, he's going to be fit at the end of the
Oh,
season.
We should talk about this a little bit, by the way, because
Is that not an ugly shirt?
no, I wouldn't call it ugly. I mean, it's not great. Okay. It isn't an attractive shirt by any stretch. But
American Eagle, just so everyone knows.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sponsorship.
Looking for sponsors.
Sponsorship. Anyone watching that wants to sponsor this, by the way, come and call OneSoccer.
That's right.
Yes, please. We need the money.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lovely shirt. But yeah, back to the whole getting fit. So we've got 3 former athletes here who are always fit.
And you're working out.
Yeah, but I'm still pretty fat.
Okay.
Yeah. Yourself had plans.
I do. So because we're on Footy Prime will be on OneSoccer for 7 weeks for sure. I got on the scale this morning in my birthday suit, 209 pounds. I thought it read wrong. So I moved it over. You know, when the scale seems a little, it's a digital scale. I moved it over, 210 pounds. So
You moved it back.
I moved it back. Yeah, exactly. So what I've realized is I'm throwing it out. I'm putting myself on the spot for the next 7 weeks. I look a little scrubby today. I've decided that by the end of the 7 weeks, you're going to see a before and an after Wonger, and I'm going to look so much better.
He's looking crappy on purpose because he's going to come out the last.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you know when
He had a weekend. He had a weekend.
You know when
He
you meet
binged.
someone and then they get more and more unattractive, you're like, I don't like their personality. Kind of.
I know.
I'm the opposite. I want
This
to be
has
the
been my
opposite.
relationship with all of you guys over the course of my time on the pod. It's been exactly that.
Even JC?
Yes.
And minus JC, always minus JC.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that.
Didn't Dubz say on the last podcast, she goes, in her year or so doing this podcast, she's gained 1 friend and gained 4 older brothers. That's right. I love that.
In our dark
That's
web,
true,
of course.
because you're always taking the
Yeah, well.
As you do.
Yeah, no one's more ferocious and ruthless in a than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the
That's
weight
fair.
thing.
Yeah.
Ex-athletes, how close are you to your playing weight? Do you know?
It's a good
Because
question.
we should get the scale out at some point during the next 7 weeks and find out how close. What was your playing weight, Craig, approximately?
214,
That's 240. It gives you 6 foot. Well, you're 6'5", right?
6'5".
Yeah, that's a good size. That might be the ideal size, apart from plane journeys.
214. I'm 210 right now.
Yeah, you're disgusting.
Yeah, but you're 5'10".
Yeah.
5'10", almost 5'11",
On a good
with
day.
these shoes on.
What was your playing weight?
I was 185.
Yeah. Okay. Dubz?
187.
Well, is that-
187.
No, it's not.
Jimmy, what do you think though with your dark passenger with the sty? Do you think you weigh more or you weigh less?
The stye's got to be 5 pounds.
Right?
It's got to be.
It has to be.
It was up this morning.
So 185, and you think you're carrying a little bit more than that these days?
Just a few pounds.
A few pounds? Yeah.
Not bad, though.
I mean,
You're
Dubz,
not bad.
you're like probably the fittest out of all of us. You close to your
Yeah,
playing
and I
weight?
weighed. Yeah, very. When I played, like the sweet spot was about 136, but anywhere between 135 and 140, because I was carrying more muscle mass than I am now. But I got weighed at the doctor's office last week. First time I'd been weighed since the twins were born, and they're 9 now, and I was 134.
Just bragging now,
works.
aren't you?
How heavy were
you
you
know.
when you were with the twins?
Oh, with the twins, I think I only gained like 31 pounds during my pregnancy.
Wow.
But that was like was an issue. I felt like they were like sucking all my energy and stealing away all my muscle.
What do you think about weighing players in general?
I think it's I think it's a crap practice.
Hey, we knew it'd be you. Even the Footy Primers thought it'd be you that swore first.
And you didn't finish the word, so congratulations.
Yeah, you got.
You thought it was a
I know.
Well,
sharpen
ship.
up.
We've got a pirate beside us right now,
That's
so
right.
we may as well have a ship. So continue.
everyone.
There's a serious topic actually you brought up there. So continue, please, Dubz. Without cursing, please, if possible.
Yeah, yes, apologies. I think Emma Hayes has brought it to light, and she's talked really eloquently, and Chelsea has implemented lots of practices to sort of bring the women's game and the way that they're supported, the way that they have their sports science and people who are there to help get the best out of the players to remove these types of practices. from the game and sort of from their own practices as a club. So I think it's really important. I don't know why it's important for the men's game either. You know, like it was, and Tommy was talking about it, like how important the why piece is now for players and how much that egalitarian approach, more of a collective approach to get the buy-in, but also the investment from the players so that there's that belief in what you're creating is there. All of this is part of it. That's an important piece that it falls along with the respect. So if you respect a player, the players are going to come at you with different shapes and sizes and different positive qualities, different things that they have to work on, different weaknesses. But you know, their body composition and then how that lends itself to a good or a bad performance, I think is unimportant, and it serves to push a lot of women out of the game, especially at a younger age, but especially in that club environment.
Very good point. I remember even with the guys. I mean, we would sit
every Friday. I get worried.
It'd be sitting in a hot bath. Speaking of Tommy and his hot, he was probably running a bath for a player, so he could lose a few pounds, so he'd make the weigh-in and wouldn't get fined.
Yeah.
Oh, you get fined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
you get fined if you
I
didn't.
get what you're saying, and you know we've moved on from those dark times in many ways, but. Body composition from a sports science perspective is important.
Of course it is.
You've got to gauge injury and danger of injury. And I'm sure weight has to be involved in that as well, surely.
Yeah. I liked it because every week I knew I was getting weighed, and it taught me a little bit of discipline as well, where I couldn't go out and eat cheeseburgers, I couldn't go out and eat pizzas. I had to watch what I eat. I had to.
So when you were at Hooters in Nottingham, you were just
that was the off season.
Sitting there
off
with
season. I was
a bit of water.
You told us it was like every Monday night.
No, in the off season. During the season, I wasn't in there.
Very often.
Off season, chicken wings and all that kind of stuff. But it was important that I met those targets, because if I didn't have that, then you could go out, you could do whatever you like, and you find that too with quite a few young players these days that they look at a Big Mac and they'll put on 10 pounds. Okay, well, you're going to get weighed now, so you've got to make sure that you're going to eat the right things and look after your body.
But isn't that supposed to be what Tommy's saying, and Amy as well, with a little bit of respect between the two, that you shouldn't have to be weighed to go out and stay away from Big Macs?
Yeah, but they're footballers. Footballers need discipline. They have to. They need structure. If you don't have discipline and structure for footballers, they'll go off the rails and do whatever they want. So you have to have something in place for them.
So and
it's not a bad thing, because you've got to look at it as well. It's a huge investment for football clubs on players. It's a massive investment. So if you're spending all that money, you've got to make sure that this athlete is finely tuned. You can't just let him go, hey, do whatever you want because we have some trust here. No, come on.
Dubz is a fine line though, right?
Yeah, and I think it has to be a democratic approach. I agree with Jimmy. He does make a good point about the discipline, and that can be a good learning curve or a good lesson for a younger player about how much nutrition, how much sleep, how much these sort of external pieces play into your overall team performance or your individual performance on the pitch. But you have to make it an inclusive, participatory experience for the man or the woman or for the player, so that they understand what that investment piece is, and then you can get them. And for women, it's particularly focused on the aesthetic. So I had to understand how, as a player, that when I had a six-pack was when I was light, was like at the end of the season or at the end of a really rigorous camp. Perhaps I looked the best or the most pleasing to the eye, quote unquote, in terms of what was culturally accepted, or what maybe, as a gender, what was put on that pedestal. But from a performance standpoint, that was not what I needed. And I was better carrying a little bit of extra weight because I was able to have more endurance. I was able to be more resilient on the pitch. So it's striking that balance. And I think it's really important that the players, our investment, are included in all of those decisions versus a scrutiny thing.
Yeah, it really is a one size doesn't fit all, right, in sports.
Yeah.
But then you get regular people like myself or Wonger, right?
Yeah.
And it's very different there as well, because, listen, we're never going to get to those heights. We don't know what really being... You were an athlete, in fairness, back a long time ago.
30 years ago.
Playing the other kind of football.
Well, you played rugby.
Yeah, but...
What was that noise, Sharms?
He threw a football.
You threw a football and he went...
That's what Sharms knows about football.
Yeah, exactly. It's a silly game. I played club rugby, and I was fit.
Tell them the story quickly, please.
Why do you want to hear this story?
Because
that my dad would trade me to the other team on a regular basis. Listen. My dad coached. My club needed coaches, right? And my dad stepped up. No other parents did. right? He loved his rugby.
Jimmy, you have a pillow. Have him lie down on the table. This is
not a therapy session.
This is a therapy session.
And my dad's probably watching this, right? And just to make sure that he was a good coach. But
Don't touch Jimmy's pillow.
in our league in Kent, around Tunbridge Wells, there was a shortage of players. I think it's under 14s, maybe under 15s, for other teams. But Tunbridge Wells always had a lot of players, right? So on a few occasions, on a Sunday morning, we get there and the other team's short of players. And my dad as coach felt more comfortable offering my services up to the other team.
Yeah, it was nice.
And it broke my heart every time, Dad. It broke my heart every single time.
Camera one.
I had a great childhood, a wonderful childhood. But Sundays in Tunbridge Wells rugby crushed me every single time. It broke my heart. I'll always love you. I will. But not as much as Mum, because she wouldn't have traded me to the other team.
He wouldn't trade his best players. I was right here myself.
No, yeah, exactly. No,
but
go right ahead.
Where were you in the, in this space? How good were you compared to the other players?
Bang average.
Okay.
Yeah, bang average.
He felt okay trading you for that day?
Yeah.
It was bang average, right?
But
And then he would say, get at him. Get at
yeah,
my son.
exactly. The blindside flank is terrible.
Molasses.
He's awful. And the look in my teammates' eyes, oh, he's leaving us.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, away from football.
Mr. Sharman. So, Mr. Sharman, you've got a lot to answer for.
Yeah. All right, back to football. Shall we do that now rather than, regurgitating my childhood? Again, thanks, Jimmy, for that, by the way. Your eyes even worse than it was to start the show.
Yeah.
Made me laugh.
Hansi Flick fired as German coach. The first German coach to ever be fired. Can you believe that for the national team? Now, all the fans want Jurgen Klopp. It's not going to happen, right? You guys played a lot of football. I think I mentioned before, 207 caps between you. I'm going to ask you this about club management and international management. Is it easier to be a dickhead as a club manager or an international manager? Where can you be more ruthless?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I think that from an international manager standpoint, you've got such big gaps between games. So being an you can redeem yourself a little bit.
Does that count? I think it counts as a curse, by the way.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
It is better than it was.
But you see,
1-1.
from a club level, Amy, I mean, you got to know this. Jimmy, you got to see these guys every single day.
Yeah.
So continuing on with that particular shtick being that way, I think it runs out, But internationally, I think you can get away with it because you can kind of soften your blow a little bit over the next few months before games.
Yeah.
But like Tommy says, just don't be a dickhead. That's the best way to be.
It's not hard, though, is it, Sharms?
You tell me, Jimmy.
Depends on the dickhead, I guess.
Exactly.
Was there one hiring or firing from a managerial coaching standpoint that you experienced as a player that really affected you, either positively or negatively? Dubz?
When I think about that, and again, I didn't have the benefit of a really extensive club career where I'd be dealing with that, but at the national team, I made my debut in '98 and we won CONCACAF. The US wasn't there. Has to be mentioned. I have to mention that. And then I played my first World Cup games and we were ousted in the group stage. And then Neil Turnbull, who was the coach at the time, was fired. And then the program just lay dormant. And we got a letter just to say that we were just stopping for a while. And I didn't know what to expect. And maybe that was commonplace back then. But it left everybody kind of reeling. And then when Evan got named head coach, then you come in and you want to prove your worth. And you're wondering, okay, if I was a starter under Turnbull, will I would now be a starter under Pellerud? And then players who were in flux or just on the fringes, do they even get looked at? And so that was sort of the time where the program was not really in peril, but where you were worried really about what the future was going to hold and whether there was even going to be a future for the women's program. So that's what came to mind then. And then it ended up, I made a good impression and was a starter kind of right off the hop. But as I talked about last pod, that there was sort of a honeymoon phase there and I fell out of favor awfully quick.
You never know when you get a new manager, what's going to change. And your old manager, you might have had a really good relationship with or not. So you might be excited about the new opportunity because you're not playing, or you might be a little bit like, okay, is this guy going to like me the same because we got competition in the club? So there's a little bit of anticipation, excitement. But from a manager's point of view, I remember John Lyle coming to Ipswich Town. And then I remember when he got fired after, I guess, 4 years, 3.5 years, something like that. That really bothered me because that guy was a different level of manager. And I think the ownership and the fans, they didn't realize that. I think West Ham, I remember John Lyle, and they do at Ipswich, and they hold him very highly, in high regard. But I think they made a big mistake. He kept us in the Premier League for 3 years with that squad that had no right staying there for 3 years. So he was performing miracles.
Can you give us the John Lyle impersonation?
No, that's Bobby Ferguson.
That's Bobby Ferguson.
Oh, Bobby Ferguson.
Geordie,
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah, of course.
Oh, I couldn't do well. John Lyle was East End London, so I'm not overly good with that East End London. I'll give it a shot, though.
Hey, Wonger, we're almost out of time here. We should get to the mail sack. JC, all the way up there in the loft, it's time for Wonger's mail sack.
Why don't you join us? Come along as we take a deep dive and have a good old rummage round inside Wonger's mail sack.
Oh, getting me going.
What you got? What you got?
Well, look, Women's World Cup just finished. Amy was all over our televisions covering that. But one of the big questions was, and this was from Christopher King in Wonger's mail sack, and this was sent to our Footy Prime email. And it was, my question for the crew is that as iconic as our women's team have been, why do they not have a nickname for like so many other teams? So going to Amy, did we have a nickname? Was there anything, or should we start a kind of movement to get a nickname for the women's team? And I think the men's team too don't have a nickname, right?
Well,
No, I said not really though. It's not
really, no.
I looked it up and there's
Yeah.
nothing.
No.
Well, there's an animal that's a national emblem.
Easy.
No?
The moose?
Are we gonna around the issue or what?
No, we can say the elephant in the room is the beaver. Is that what we're gonna say?
Yeah, and I
thought
said,
we
are we
were
gonna
name-
around it,
Yeah,
or are
that's
we
what
just
I
gonna
thought.
name it?
I've never heard of
Did anyone ever call the Canadian national women's team or the Canadian men's? You guys got called the Rouge. Were the women's team called
They
the
got
Rouge?
called a few
too?
things.
Yeah. Were you guys ever called Les Rouges also?
No, never. I think that's a new kind of iteration of Canada. But we need something cool. Like you think about the Super Falcons, right? Or the Atlas
There's some
Lions. Like
great
why
names.
can't we have a kick-ass name like that,
The
right?
Indomitable Lions. Not to me lions. How about the Indomitable Mooses?
It's pretty cool.
Or is it Meese?
Yeah.
The moose.
Meese, yeah.
Yeah,
Moose
I don't know.
knuckles.
Well, let's put it out to the viewers, right?
Absolutely.
Let us know through all our socials.
And Amy, you have an event with the Voyageurs coming up. Why don't you throw that a little bit, give that a little promo too?
Oh yeah, Rob from the Voyageurs and OneSoccer is supporting them because Andy Petrillo volunteered to host, and this will be Diana Matheson, founder of Project 8, Rian Wilkinson, who's building a really robust pathway for that league, and also NWSL winning coach Rian Wilkinson, and myself will be on a panel on Monday the 25th in advance of the women playing Jamaica at BMO Field on the 26th.
Huge match, huge match. So, 2 minutes left. Keep moving.
2
Next
minutes
one.
left. So we're going to go with our friend Bergman in the garage. And he's got a really great question, but we're not going to get to that one. We're going to get to a fun question.
Okay.
My daughter's under 15 team was having this debate that I overheard. What smells worse, hockey equipment or soccer shoes, shin pads, etc.? So the hockey dressing room or the soccer dressing room? Amy, go first.
Oh, well, married to a ex-pro for hockey, it has to be hockey. It's absolutely disgusting. Even my kids, so oldest is 13 and twins are 9, just coming in a car on the way back home, just that the smell of the hands that have been in the gloves are disgusting.
It's a different level
Can we
of
pivot here a little
smell.
bit, just from that question, evolve it. Who was the stinkiest teammate you had? We've got like a minute and a half here. You've got to be quick.
Oh. Well, nobody actually
nobody really.
Not a body.
So it was obviously you two. If you don't know who it was, hate to tell you, fellas.
Hey, everybody
but it
knows I was always in the shower. I was racing in there.
Yeah.
Amy, I think Amy knew someone that she wanted to name. Brandy Chastain. It was Brandy Chastain.
Amy's favorite person in the
No,
world.
it wasn't.
Oh, they're good friends.
No, it was collectively, it was the Russian team prior to us playing them at that game that mattered in the 99 World Cup in the tunnel. It was absolutely rank in there.
Really?
It was awful.
Was it a tactical strategy from the Russians?
It could have been, yeah.
All right.
Trying to smoke us out of the tunnel on the way in.
Listen, we're running out of time. We're pretty much out of time now, but this is our first show. We got through it, we think, without being cancelled. We'll find out shortly. You can catch Footy Prime, the podcast, though, on Sunday nights.
Yep.
Monday, of course, on OneSoccer. Wednesday with the Foundation Show. Yeah, that goes really off the rails. And, of course, on Fridays, of course, in News and Dubz. And please follow us on all the usual channels across the Twitterverse or the Xverse and TikTok and wherever. Hope you enjoyed, everyone. We're back, same time next week. Cheers very much for watching.